Fellow citizens, once again, thank you for your attention. This is part two of the Demolishing the Agyapa deal. Yesterday, I talked about two arguments being made forcefully to support the Agyapa agreement. One was the fact that Parliament had passed the amendment bill and therefore we should all embrace it. I dealt with the fact that that amendment that created the SPV possibility was procured out of deception, so it cannot be used by anybody to court support for the Agyapa deal, and therefore Gabi should be minded of that argument. The second issue that is being raised is by the finance minister himself. He basically says three things. One, that we should trust him to do the best for Ghana, and second, that we should he wants to create value for our gold royalties, significant value, and that he also wants to see something that would be a testimony that Ghana once had gold, or this is what we were able to use our gold minerals or resources to do, because now it is mixed up in all the revenues that we collect, and you cannot see something that we can point to and say this is what gold did for us. So I'll respond to all of that, but before I go on, let me say that first of all, the issue of trust doesn't arise. It is not about trust, it's about stewardship, and I need to be very diplomatic here. The history of the finance minister doesn't support an investment of trust, and I think I should just say that and move on, because political science 101 will tell you that even the president of the republic can be a threat to national security. It's only in Ghana that we have elevated political parties above the state, and we've turned the state upside down. So you see the director generals of YOCO, the IGP, the CID, and the directors of National Investigations Bureau and the Research Department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the intelligence agencies, demonstrate their loyalty to the political party in power as opposed to the loyalty to the state. So you don't see them questioning actions of states agents, or some, if you like, high-placed government appointees or public servants. But we need to put that aside, and there's a discussion for another day. But having said that, it supports the argument I'm making that it is not about trust. It's about stewardship. It's about what you have done and what you want to do, and citizens' ability to scrutinize the decisions that you have taken, or you are about to take, or you want to take, to see whether it's in our interest or not. So it's all about citizens' awareness and policing of government action and scrutinizing same. That is what is important. It's not a trust argument. So you can't introduce some emotional arguments there to court support for a deal which is basically bad, taken from the state and given to private individuals, or what you call investors. The second issue is that even if you take the amount of money we've been borrowing as an example of stewardship, because this government, Dr. Baumia championing huge borrowing, and even the previous government going to the IMF for support, we have been saddled with constant borrowing from the capital market, and that has implications for the interest that we pay on the loans that we take. And like a few days ago, Sam Jonah said that if you're not careful, in a few years, I think even next year or so, interest payment will surpass government emolument bill. Basically, what I want to say is that because we have been going to the capital market for most of our loans, we risk as a country to pay huge amounts of money in terms of interest payment, which is more than what we need to use to pay salaries and other benefits for public sector workers. So you can't just use trust as an argument and get away with a deal like Agyapa, because your previous actions has not demonstrated actions in the interest of actions that are in the interest of the republic. A lot of people were attacking Bright Simmons of Imani when he compared a 2% IMF loan that Kenya had gotten with an 8% Eurobond money that Ghana had gotten. The amounts were the same, $2.44 billion for Kenya at 2% from IMF, and we got $3 billion at 8% from the Euro market. And whilst the Ghanaian people were celebrating, Kenyans were protesting. And Bright was talking about the fact that he was in trouble for comparing the two. And it tells you that because you have done politics with IMF, we are not able to go there for our loans if we need them, but we have gone for other alternative, which is making our situation worse. So it is a track record and the scrutiny of actions that is important. It is not a trust issue and all of those arguments that the finance minister has put forward. Now, in terms of creating value for our gold minerals and getting a specific thing to support the specific thing to show that this is what we have been able to do with gold minerals resources. The idea to deal with that is not Agyapa. In fact, the whole Agyapa deal, it's informed by colonial mentality. Why do I say this? Let's pause for a moment. The myth was created to collect the proceeds and manage it and invest it and create value. Some way, somehow, we are being told that the myth cannot do that job. So we should create an SPV, which is Agyapa royalties. And if you like, allow private people to manage it. And private people, meaning that they are not government people. So the MIF, which is government agency, cannot manage the royalties they've collected. So they should collect and just hand over to Agyapa royalties. And we have appointed CEO and board members and people that the Ghana government cannot even control or dismiss or alter their employment conditions of service and so on and so forth. That's the first colonial thinking, that MIF, which is state and Ghanaians in charge, cannot do it, but Agyapa, a private entity, can do that. I don't understand. Then the second thing is that the value, it requires private participation. So we go to Cayman Island, we go to London Stock Exchange, and so on and so forth. It's all informed by a certain understanding that somehow the black man is not capable of doing anything. It should have been, if you like, exclusive Ghana Stock Exchange thing, if that is what we wanted to do. All these Cayman Island, tax haven, and so on and so forth. And even the fact that we are inviting private people to take value, because you see, if you take even the Eurobond, private people are giving us money so that they can make more money. That is what they do, capitalist thinking. I mean, there's nothing wrong if somebody wants to lend you money and make money out of it. But why should you allow somebody to take advantage of money that is effortlessly ours? So he brings you $500 million and then he participates, like Mr. Kenneth is saying, in the future, in receiving rewards for the future value that will be created. I mean, then we should sacrifice that 500 million and make sure that we have total control of all the value that the royalties can accrue to the republic. So that it's clear that we cannot take from the state and give to some private people, even if in exchange of their 500 million. The other thing that I want to deal with is the value of the royalties itself. And that is tied in with the trust issue that Mr. Kenneth Rata raises. He says the 1 billion is some proposal at initial stages. So it can be the 50, let me use 50% to make the argument easier. So initially, the 500 million was to represent about 49-50% of the $1 billion that had value that has been placed on our gold royalties, or the royalties that we'll get from the entire mining, the 15 mining concessions that we have forever. Because when they renew, the deal is such that when they renew their concessions, the royalties will still go to Agyapa. MEF will collect and go and give it to Agyapa. Now, let's even say that he's so magical in his financial prowess. So the 1 billion, when they go to the market, is ballooned to $4 billion, which means that the 500 million, or let's say $2 billion, which means that the 500 million dollars will become 25% for easy calculation. Or let's say it balloons to 4 billion. Therefore, the 500 million dollars will become only maybe 14.5%. Whatever it is, a certain percentage of our gold royalties and its future value will go to private people, and it is not acceptable. So we should not be confused by the fact that some value will be created if it's listed on Ghana Stock Exchange, or it goes to Agyapa royalties and so on and so forth. So that has to be made clear. The other thing is that what baffles me is that we have a MEF managing director or CEO, but he can't, we are telling him, and he is also accepting, that when he collects the mineral royalties for about $200 million, or by last year's example, $300 million, he doesn't know what to do with it. He can't invest in anything. So he is agreeing with government and his board to take that money and give to another entity that will create the value. Why can't he create the value himself? So in dealing with the issue of something specific that gold has done for us, we can easily do this. It's not rocket science. All that we are proposing is that since Kwame Nkrumah's time, we have identified 18 national roads. And when we talk about, one day I'll do a video of what a national road looks like, but some of us know it already. It's the road from Tema to Accra, the motorway. That is what we call national roads. There are supposed to be 18 of them. So dual carriage highways. Okay. So let's say Nkrumah at the time of independence, like people accuse him of, had plenty money, so he could do the motorway for us. Now, if by design or whatever we find ourselves in, we don't have enough resources as a country, so nobody has been able to do the remaining part of the motorway. President Kufuor got the first Eurobond and tried to dualize the N6, which is Accra to Kumasi. When he left office, some way, somehow, we couldn't continue to complete the dualization of the N6. President Kufuor and Dr. Indom, with the Millennium Challenge account, was able to extend the motorway to Tetakwashi interchange. It's supposed to be like that, dual carriage highway, 3 lanes or 5 lanes, with the total people having their lanes, all the way to Elubo. So that would have been a completion of the N1. So if somebody wants to have a national monument to represent gold royalties, what is more golden than to open up a country and have freeways, interchanges, where interregional highways where there are no intersections, but you rather have interchanges so that when you move your car from Tema to want to go to Boko, you can pass through all the major towns and villages, but you can exit and enter depending on where you want to enter from or where you want to exit to. And it's a free highway. Nobody dies as far as head-on collision is concerned. Business people can travel easily across Ghana. And in fact, the roads are beautifully done such that you can actually have a circular around the republic. So the N1, which is a Lobo to Aflao, will be the southern corridor. Then you have the Eastern Corridor Road. Then you have the Western Corridor, which is the N12. Then you have the N7 is the one from Fufuso to Sola. Fufuso Sola Road became so popular in Ghana. It has to be dualized. That connects Tamale to Wa, and so on and so forth. So when you finish the Eastern Corridor Road, you will have had something to show that this is what gold royalties did. So in fact, what you can do is call all these foreign banks that he has brought to Ghana and give them a project and say that, look, we have gold royalties in excess of $300 million every year. Call APSA. If you don't like Ghanaians, that is your attitude, no problem. You can call APSA people. Call EcoBank. In fact, EcoBank is owned by government of West African states, so it's not a difficult thing for them to participate in this. Call EcoBank, call APSA, call the Nigerian banks. They like big things, and we like to give things to foreigners, so no problem. Call all of them and put them in the Jubilee House and say that you are forming a consortium of banks or financiers to complete the Eastern Corridor Road. Your repayment money for them, depending on how much they contribute to the money for the contract to be completed, you are giving them a seed money of at least $200 million every year for 10 years or whatever number of years that the loan agreement that they will be able to sponsor will cover. And easily you get one road done. When you finish, you move to the middle one, N10, which is the continuation of the N6. That takes you the middle corridor. That takes you all the way to Bolga. So when you finish N2, you come and complete the N6 that has some of them is not completed yet and deteriorating to get it to Kumasi. When you finish, you do Kumasi to Tamale and then Bolga. That's the N10. Then you do the N12, which is from Elubo to Laura. Then there is one connecting Laura to Tumu. Then from Tumu to Navrongo to Bolga, and then Bolga to Boko. Then you have completed the base. You have the eastern and western corridors. You have the middle corridor, and if you like, you have the upper corridor. Then you say that this is what is demonstrating that or is representing gold, and it's a golden investment for Ghana, and it's also an investment in the republic. We can tow it. Ask all those MPs and all those big guys, business people, if they pay 100 cedis for traveling from Accra to Boko on a dual carriage highway, if they won't pay that money. So you do toll booths and buys. The highway people will calculate by what kilometers you must travel to pay 10 cedis. So if there are 10 toll booths on the Eastern Corridor Road from Tema to that makes you pay 100 by the time you are in Boko. And let them compare that with the amount of fuel that they will spend in traveling to Boko. It's the 100 cedis. It's insignificant compared to that, and they'll be willing to pay. No robberies, no portals, no head-on collisions, fast business. They go up and down and come back and do that. That is an investment, and you do the tolling, you collect your money back for reinvestment in Ghana. Why go and put our money on some London Stock Exchange that the people don't? We have even given them indemnity clauses that if they do investment and the value falls and we don't get value for money, we can't take them on. Why would you want to risk that and give a blank check to some people that are going to manage, and you are saying that the MIF people cannot do this? So put our money in our own country, build the national roads, toll it, recoup your investment, reinvest it for future generations to show that they had leaders who thought generational, who thought into the future. You go and borrow 3 billion, you come and eat kinky, and so on and so forth, and there's nothing to show for it. And you are giving our gold royalties, which is good money, to some people, and you are giving them a blank check, giving them indemnity. I mean, if you give me indemnity as CEO of Agyapa, there's a certain percentage chance that I can be reckless in the investment that I do. So let's put the money in Ghana. Let the MIF people take charge of the money, put them in the construction of the national roads, and let them have a consortium of banks. Let us have some benefit from this foreign bank also, and they can do it. If you guarantee these banks that I mentioned a $300 million annual loan repayment, they will run for it. They will call their shareholders in foreign lands to bring the money without you struggling to go and raise that money from the euro market and so on and so forth. So let's have further discussions on this matter. I will be doing more videos on other national issues of importance and significance. Thank you once again for this. Has been a rather long video, but thank you for your patience and your attention.